If you want to start investing in real estate in 2024, then I got you. Welcome to the Money Chisme podcast, a fun and safe space for personal finance, investing, and entrepreneurship tips where we get the chisme on all things money with sass and humor. I am your host, Violeta, a first-generation Mexican immigrant, a real estate investor, entrepreneur, and I am here to help you kick ass in the financial game. Each week, I not only bring you expert tips, but also share the financial freedom and entrepreneurship journeys from our own community because, representation is important. So grab un cafecito or si quieres an adult beverage and let's get into this week's Money Chisme. Hola, welcome to another episode of the Money Chisme podcast. So it's a new year and, many of y'all might be interested in, starting to invest in real estate. So this week, I'm going to drop some tips to help you get started and, how to, be more successful in your real estate investing journey. Now, these are part of my 12 days to prepare to invest in real estate series that I did earlier in the year. And, I just compiled some of my favorite ones. So that way you have it all in one go. Tip number one is do not jump in blindly. Like, I get it. You want to get out there. You're a go-getter. You're ambitious. You're motivated to start investing. Buying real estate, there's so much that you have to learn and you don't have to know it all, but you want to know a little bit of the whole process and what it is and what goes into it. That way you understand what you're getting yourself into. This is where you hear the horror stories. So make that upfront investment and figure out what it is that you want to do. Learn. You could do this with books. There's podcasts. There are YouTube videos. There's so many resources out there. There's courses and workshops. I've gone to many workshops myself. So if you want to get into real estate investing, you need to understand how real estate makes you money and how, it benefits you to invest in real estate. The first one is rental income in the form of cash flow. And cash flow is really just like what the monthly expenses are for that property and the rental income that you get, the difference of that's going to be your cash flow. And you can build multiple sources of that each one is a multiple source of income and you get enough of them and you gain financial freedom. The second one is appreciation. So over time, historically, your property value is going to increase from what you paid. And yeah, the market may go up and down or whatever, but especially now that you hear like overinflated prices and yada yada, that the market's going to crash. But historically, long term, the property values go up, and that's a great way to, build wealth. Number three, if you have a mortgage, then as you pay off that debt, and with rental properties, this is done through your rental income, you start building equity over time, and then you build enough equity, you could end up leveraging that equity to either invest it somewhere else or to, fulfill other lifelong dreams. And number four is taxes. Like, this is the one that people forget about, is that, everything that goes into rental properties, like lots of that stuff you can deduct and help bring down your tax liability. And that means more money in your pocket that you can use for something else or reinvest somewhere. So if you plan to use a loan to invest in properties, well, you need to understand what's in your credit report so that when you are trying to get this loan, there are no random things that pop up that could, become an obstacle when you're trying to close on a property. Now, you do have access to your credit report once a year at annualcreditreport.com. So check your credit report, start taking action to fix any discrepancies. So that way, when you're out there and trying to buy a property, you get better loan options and you have a smoother closing process. You need to understand your debt to income ratio. And your debt to income ratio is your gross monthly income minus your monthly debts like, credit cards or a mortgage. And certain lenders want certain percentages for debt to income ratio. Because with that, it's going to depend how much they're going to lend you and what the terms are, like, what kind of interest rate you're going to get and how much of a down payment they're going to require. So that's why it's important to start taking steps to reduce that debt to income ratio. So that way, when you are ready to start buying and investing in real estate, you get the best loan options out there. All right, real estate investing has its ups and downs, and it can get overwhelming. So you really need to start building some resilience and start building a growth mindset. And this is where new real estate investors usually just end up walking away because, they don't have the mindset for it. They hit that first obstacle, they make that first mistake or whatever, and it's too much for them, and they just get scared off and are like, you know what, it's not for me, I'm walking away. Now, the thing is, you do want to make a plan to avoid mistakes and reduce your risk, but you also want to plan for those mistakes. And, if you do hit those, you want to have like a process of, learning from those mistakes, figuring out what you did wrong, and, making a plan to avoid that in the future and then bounce back from it. Because real estate investing is not linear. You're going to go up and down and up and down. Like right now, I'm at a down, like to full transparency. But real estate investing is a long-term game. So over time, you're going to find out that you have been building wealth and making money. So what is your goal with real estate investing? Do you want to just gain a few sources of income so you could gain financial stability, or maybe you want to park your cash somewhere instead of savings, so that way it's better protected against inflation? Or maybe you want to buy enough houses and build enough cash flow to where it completely replaces your current income and you gain financial freedom. Or maybe you want to go big and build a large portfolio to where you acquire lots of properties and build lots of wealth that you can leave to your future generation. Either way, these are like some of the questions that you need to ask yourselves before you jump into it, because this is going to help determine what kind of strategy you want to go for, because real estate investing has so many strategies. And, the last thing you want to do is jump right in and then realize later on, once you've invested a lot of money, that you didn't want to be so involved. You wanted to do more passive, or maybe you didn't want to do like fixer uppers. You want more turnkey properties, or you want to do Airbnbs versus, long-term rentals. There's so many things to think about. So the first thing before you even start looking and get tempted to go all over the place, figure out what it is that you want. So one of the things that stops a lot of people from investing in real estate is that their market is crap. I am in San Diego. Like, there's no way I could invest here, like, and buy a duplex or any type of investment, because it's really out of reach for me because everything's so freaking pricey. And this might be the case with you, like your area, your local market might be out of range for you for what, properties are going for in the rental market in that area. But here's the thing, markets are different in different cities, even sometimes in different neighborhoods. And you really just gotta go out there and look for these markets. And sometimes you even gotta go to a different state. And that's basically what I'm doing. I'm investing in a different state and buying duplexes, because in that area, I can find duplexes and multifamily properties for way much cheaper than San Diego. And, it's more achievable for me. And the rental market is still high enough to still make positive cash flow. But don't let your local market stop you from investing in real estate. Get out there and find a market that fits your needs. My next tip is to figure out what resources you're going to need. Whether you plan to manage yourself or even hire a property manager, you're going to need things like Excels or like trackers or something to help you track of like your expenses, your income and all that. Not to mention, you're going to need like other things like apps or other tools to help collect, rents or, do background checks, things like that, that you're going to, figure out what kind of resources or tools you're going to need. Luckily, there's so many tools out there and resources out there now with like the internet and all that. So it's easier now to, be a landlord. Now, on top of resources, you're going to need people as well. You're going to need to have like a team, whether you plan to, self manage or use a property manager. I mean, you're going to have to figure out who you need. Like, or if you're going to use a property manager, you got to find that. You need like an insurance agent, a real estate agent. You need contractors, property inspectors, all of that. So really depending on like the strategy and, the property type and all that. And if you plan to manage yourself or use a property manager, you need to start figuring out what kind of people you need on your team as well. And lastly, before you start real estate investing, before you get out there and start trying to, find or buy your first rental property or investment property, you want to have a plan. So like all these tips and, figuring out your strategy and resources and team, you're going to have to put all that together. Because this is where a lot of new investors get in trouble, is because they really just jump into it. They don't have a plan. They don't take the time to set themselves up like financially, getting the knowledge that they need and, just doing that research up front. So there's no like set goals. They're just like, you know what, I just want to go out there and make money, but they don't have a plan of how they're going to do that, what strategy they want to go for. They don't have the step-by-step kind of deal. And then so they just wing it. And this is where like a lot of investors, like end up failing or making a huge mistake that really costs them and sets them back to where like sometimes they just quit or they're forced to quit because these mistakes without having a plan or anything like really messes them up financially and they are forced to quit. The other thing that happens when you don't have a plan is that some of these new investors, what they do is they go and buy their first, maybe second one, but then they don't have a plan after that. Like they have no plan to how to grow their portfolio, how to, diversify. So then what happens is that they kind of get overwhelmed or life happens and then they just kind of lose track of time because they don't have like a plan. Like for example, me, I have my 5-year plan and of course it's not perfect and not everything has worked out exactly, but it is keeping me, on track and making sure that I am going back and assessing my goals, assessing the previous years and making sure that I am tracking, but also that I am like making sure that I am on the path to reaching my ultimate goal or my dreams. And, every time I reassess, like quarterly, yearly, whatever it may be, I'm making the proper adjustments. And, I've had to do that for 2023. I'm in the process of doing that because, 2021, 2022 was freaking piece of cake, but 2023 was hard. And so now, got to reassess and figure out what I could do better and, fix the plan and adjust the plan so that way I am better off this year and the next year and continue to, grow. So without a plan, you have no way to do these things because you don't have a plan or you don't have your goals to assess, or to track or compare your year on how you're doing. And you don't have like a timeline. You're just kind of like winging it. And, maybe you might be one of the lucky ones that it works out by just winging it. But the majority of the time, you're going to have to, at one point or another, you're going to have to realize that you need to actually sit down and plan out your investment strategy and plan. Now, I am going to plug 2 resources that I have available for you to help you through this. If you are wanting to get into real estate investing, but you're kind of like at the very beginning and you don't even know what to do first, I do have my Prepare to Invest mini course where it's like a 5 steps. It's like about 45 minutes and it's going to take you step by step on, preparing your finances and your mindset and figuring out strategy and stuff like that. And it's going to guide you on the preparation stage so that way you could get ready to start investing. Now, if you are already kind of past that, you kind of already set up yourself financially and have like your down payment, or you're ready to go out there, you just need kind of like a how to, and, build that knowledge and learn how to, analyze a property and all that, or how to find a property, then my 6-week real estate investing for beginners course is for you. And this is a 6-week course. It's 6 steps. We're going to go all the way from doing your finances and figuring out what kind of loans are available, how to fund your rental property, and then go all the way to like how to analyze a property to invest in, all the way to building your team. And lastly, we're going to go over that 5-year investment plan that I, was talking about. That is so important. That way you have a guide and action plan. So that way you could go out there with the knowledge, the tools that you need, so you could go and buy your first property. So if you're interested, they are linked in the show notes. But other than that, those are my tips to, start your real estate investing journey. And, other than that, I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like and share this episode so others can also find this podcast. Don't forget to follow me on all my social medias listed in the show notes below, where you can also find resources to help you in your financial journey. If you're interested in becoming a guest on the podcast, you can find that information in the show notes. Other than that, thank you so much for your support, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.